Hello there, and welcome to the Fellowship. In today's episode, we are going to focus on Vigilantes in honour of Daredevil Born Again premiering on Disney+. We're going to focus on our favourite Vigilantes, what we love about them, why society in general kind of is attracted to these kind of characters, and then we are going to talk wider on Vigilantism in general in the wider society and what we think about it and what our own views are.
Okay, so Vigilantes. So for those of the audience that don't quite know, we have got a bit of a definition, put it up on the screen. So Vigilantism is a person or persons who tries to take the law into their own hands outside of the official law enforcement. So they'll go out, catch criminals and punish them effectively in their own way. So we're going to discuss that today. Who wants to make a start?
I've got some thoughts on the definition, and I would go one step further and say that a vigilante is someone who acts not where the law can't, but where the law is corrupt. Now we're gonna talk about the big names here today, but I would say that someone like Thor, for example, he doesn't intervene in situations on Earth because the police are corrupt. He intervenes, and I think the words used in the trailer for Infinity War, we could fight the battles that they never could. He intervenes because the threat is above what the law can do, whereas someone like, spoiler alert, someone we're going to get onto, Batman intervenes where the infrastructure to prevent crime in his universe is deliberately incapable. It's not that they can't, it's that they won't, it's because it's all corrupted. So that there's the void that Batman fills is not to deal with the supernatural threat, to deal with the otherworldly threat, it's to deal with the threat that is there, that exists, whether it's drugs, whether it's the crime, whether it's the trafficking, that the police won't. That is what I would add to that definition. So I think it's fairly obvious we're going to bring Batman to the discussion today. That would be where I draw the line. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Would you say that someone with superpowers, so let's say like Superman, Thor, who basically, could they not be vigilantes because they are above the law because they're so powerful?
For my money, yes. That's where I would draw. That is for me where I draw the line. I would say that's to deal with a threat that is beyond. If you talk about a vigilante acting outside of the law, well, I think it has to be deliberately outside of the law, not outside of the law out of necessity, if that makes sense.
So, in Civil War, where Cap's like, oh yeah, we do the things that need doing, but obviously they've pretty much all got superpowers, so would you say that they are vigilantes? Whereas Ross was saying that they need to be
Cap's a funny one, because I would argue that out of the Avengers, and again, we are going to talk about the Avengers today, I would argue that Cap is the only one who truly is a vigilante because of the journey that he goes on. I'm talking purely about the Marvel Cinematic Universe here, and the brilliant storytelling where Tony Stark, Iron Man, starts as this figure who sets himself apart from the government, who sets himself as the rebel, the anti-establishment hero. In Iron Man 2, he refuses to sell his tech, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can't have Iron Man without me. I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man, it's my brand.
Suit,
I've privatised world peace, that brilliant line in Iron Man 2. And Cap is the government figurehead. He's very much the figurehead of the US war machine in World War II. He represents the old school US values. And
there's the scene from the first Captain America where he's on tour and he's doing the little
exactly, yeah. He's almost being used for, and he resents it, but he does it because he feels that's his duty to his government and to his country. The change happens after Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which remains one of the best Marvel films to this day, even though it's now 11 years old. It's still so resonant because Cap loses faith in the institutions that he has come to represent. He realises the Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. and therefore by extension the US government. And then Tony, and again I think you did the other day, the underrated superhero films. Tony's journey through Iron Man 3 where he's suffering his post-traumatic stress disorder, then comes to the fore after the Battle of Sokovia, so that when you get to Civil War, what's brilliantly set up is that these two polar opposite figures have gone in opposite directions. Because Cap now doesn't trust the establishment, and Tony wants the regulation. He almost needs it. He needs it as a crutch to help him through what he's been through. And therefore, it's incredible storytelling how so organically you have these figures who start here and end up here. And that's why Cap, I think, becomes the only true vigilante, because he says, no, I will intentionally act outside of the law. I'm contradicting myself a little bit, because he's acting outside of the law because he feels the law is not capable. It goes back to what I said earlier. Thor and Superman and the like deal with threats that the law cannot deal with, rather they won't deal with. But Cap is the only one, I would say, in that universe who truly steps into vigilanteism.
To date.
To date, yes.
Obviously now there's Daredevil, Punisher's coming back in it, and we all know Punisher definitely doesn't trust the law.
Well, there is, yeah, exactly.
He takes things massively into his own hands. It was like, I'll just go around brutally murdering any people.
And screaming.
And screaming a
Screaming,
lot.
yeah, don't forget the screaming.
To an extent, I suppose.
Screaming is an essential part of vigilanteism.
And that's the official definition.
When you're looking at it as well, to an extent, you can argue after, in terms of the cinematic universe, after Thanos' snap, Hawkeye becomes a vigilante because he takes on the role, the persona of Ronin. He's going around the world then, butchering crime syndicates and literally murdering them brutally.
On the basis of that it wasn't fair for
them to go.
to die.
Yeah, and then
he
stayed around. So
Hawkeye
becomes a vigilante because of the circumstances that he's put on.
But he's only sort of fighting that street level criminal.
Yeah.
There is pretty much most of the vigilantes. Well, pretty much all of them. They're all street level.
Yes.
I mean, even when you think of Captain America, I don't class him as super powered, because his super soldier serum brings him to the maximum of what a human can be.
Exactly.
But he's still not impervious to everything.
He can still be shot, can't he? A bullet will still... It's not like Superman and Thor. A bullet will still penetrate his skull.
In the comics, he does get shot.
Yes. So, I should clarify, I'm obviously new to the show, thanks for having me on. My extent of knowledge is broadly confined to the films. Did read some of the comics when I was younger, but my universe is the cinematic universe. So that's the angle I'm coming from here. But you're absolutely right. In the comics, he does get shot. It's the fact that he is, for all intents and purposes, he is a mortal man. Batman is a mortal man. Thor is a god. Superman is a demigod. That's where the difference is, isn't it? It's the other... Iron Man's suit makes him the invincible Iron Man. It's that idea of these are people who are not above the law by choice, they're above the law by necessity. They have to be. They deal with threats that the human physicality and human organisation can't cope with, whereas Cap, Batman, Daredevil, Punisher... they're dealing with threats that the human physicality won't deal with, that refuses to deal with. They're vigilantes out of choice. Sorry, that's a really long-winded thing to say. I'm sorry. Carry on, Dave.
Sorry, no. Following from what Sean said there, it does. The line gets very blurred between when a vigilante becomes a superhero and when their powers contradict the laws within the realm that they're in. So, like you said, Superman, Thor, they are technically unstoppable in the laws there. But when you follow up on some of the bits that go through, is that laws then come into place to stop their powers being effective, so that the superhero laws can act. If you read sort of like we know with X-Men, where they've got doing all the mutant, not pacification, but the new kind of like documentation where they say that you are a mutant, it then goes into a level of control, and that it's people are naturally following the laws that are there, but there's the people that go around the law because what they believe is true is not what the government believes is true.
That's true. I mean, all of the X-Men vigilantes.
Yeah,
technically so. Yeah. Because they are outsiders almost by
birth.
By birth, yes. By almost by legislation, they're outsiders, aren't they? They're considered to be. What is the word I'm looking for? They're considered outcasts. They're outcast by society, aren't they?
So what about the difference between a vigilante and an anti-hero? Because they do tend to be very close-knit.
The lines sort of blurred, aren't they, between the two?
I think an anti-hero doesn't believe in their own morality. I think they believe they do strictly what is necessary, not necessarily because it's right or because it's good or because it's moral, just because it is necessary. So the Silver Surfer, a brilliant example. Now, I grew up in the 90s, as we all did, with the Fox Kids cartoons, the amazing Batman cartoons, the amazing Spider-Man cartoons. One of the most underrated cartoons was the Silver Surfer cartoon on Fox Kids. Absolutely incredible. And the Silver Surfer's whole modus operandi is that he offers his services to Galactus to prevent his own planet from being devoured by Galactus. Galactus punishes him by sending off the Silver Surfer's home planet deep into outer space where he can't find it. And the Silver Surfer's his punishment for his crime of saving his home world is that he must always find worlds for Galactus that Galactus can devour. He doesn't believe that's right. He does it because it's completely and utterly necessary. He is viewed as a threat. He is viewed with trepidation when he travels around. Even though in his mind he wants to be a moral and good character, but he does completely and utterly what is necessary. That for me is the line of anti-hero to vigilante. Vigilante believes what they're doing is right and noble, and anti-hero believes what they're doing is necessary.
Well, there's one of the ones, and I don't know if anyone else has picked this as one of their characters, but obviously, as we mentioned, Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's an anti-hero. You know, he goes around, he'll torture people, he'll shoot them to bits, he'll drag them down the road behind his car. But he is a vigilante.
Mm.
Takes the law into his own hands, gets vengeance for what happened to his family, and goes after the drug dealers.
Yeah.
And he's street level, like I said. His power is hard as fuck, and he's got loads of guns. That's pretty much his powers, isn't it?
So it's possible to be both then?
Yeah. That's what was.
I'd agree with London on that. From how I see an anti-hero and a vigilante, it comes down to the kind of like D&D scale. When you look at sort of like, you've got chaotic lawful, and then sort of like the lawful evil, etc. Is that the anti-heroes are kind of, they're morally ambiguous, like John said. And then a vigilante has got some sort of moral code that very much then neutral and lawful. They kind of understand the rules of the law, they follow them to a letter, but they're not afraid to bend them with their will.
I'd say Batman is like the opposite of Punisher, where he's vigilante and he hunts down people, but he will not, he might punch them or give him a little kick, but
He sort of restricts himself to not
Yeah,
killing
He
them.
does have a moral
he's very
code, doesn't he?
non-
He
he's
does
very
have that moral code.
Unless you watch the film of the game.
yeah.
Well, yeah. Because let's face it,
Definitely better than someone.
in those Arkham games, he blatantly kills people.
Like Keaton as well, in Batman movie, definitely kills someone by putting a grenade in his face, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, in Batman Returns, isn't it? He's going through the town square after the Penguin sort of makes his first appearance and whatnot, and he attaches the dynamite to the villain's chest, and then sort of pushes him into a grate, and he's blatantly blown up, just dead. So Michael Keaton's Batman, even in the Tim Burton films, he's going around, he's killing people. You just don't see it on screen.
Well, even Christian Bale's in Batman Begins, the amount of people that he leaves for dead in Ra's al Ghul's house. Even at the end with Ra's al Ghul, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to remove you from this train. Well, that's a death sentence right there.
So what's the moral line of, I won't shoot people, but I will, potentially turn them into a vegetable.
I won't descend to the level of the people I am opposed. I think that's for Batman, isn't it? It's
even Joker, he just makes people laugh. Like Batman, I've seen him legitimately, like, probably, make someone a quadriplegic and then walk away and it's like,
I didn't
That's
kill
so much better than making them laugh.
I didn't kill them. in terms of our favourite vigilantes, I think most people would say Batman, wouldn't they? He is the vigilante, the cape. There's a reason that he is called the Caped Crusader. That idea that he is there acting outside of the law, the Crusader, the hero who does what is strictly necessary because he has to, because there is no law enforcement in place, or if there is, it's corrupt. Who will protect the innocent? Who will protect what the innocent citizens of Gotham? It has to be someone outside of the law. And there is an element to vigilantism of almost a god complex, isn't there? Well, if the authorities won't protect the innocent and the weak,
I will.
And so for me, any conversation about vigilante has to start with Batman. It has to be. And in whatever capacity, whether it's the comics, whether it's the cartoons, whether it's the films, we know this is an individual with absolutely no superpowers, just a completely defined sense of what is right and wrong and what needs to be done to protect innocent people. And he will do what's necessary without resorting to killing.
Shooting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, shooting, yeah. I've got another one, and I think you'll like this, Lewis.
Go on.
The Doctor.
See, I was going to bring up the Doctor. I don't know what you were thinking about this, Dave. Would you class the Doctor as a vigilante? Because I was toying with it, because when you look at it on a base level, the Doctor travels through the universe, righting wrongs done to whoever.
Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Help
But
when
he
you
doesn't
can.
actually work for any universal law enforcement. He's doing what he believes to be right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually agree with you on that. I hadn't thought of the Doctor, you mentioned it. But when you go back to the older eras, is that the Doctor was, with the regeneration from Patrick Troughton to Pertwee, the Time Lords banish him to Earth because he is rebelling against the law of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a vigilante in the eyes of his own people.
Yeah. He's going against the law of the Time Lords by, not interfering. They're supposed to just observe the universe, whereas he actively travels through space and time, righting wrongs, defeating evil, and things like that. It doesn't necessarily, as we've mentioned as well, he doesn't necessarily kill said evils, barring the odd Dalek and Cyberman and whatnot, but he tends to inspire others to do that. But he is very much going around going, I think that's wrong, I'm going to right this wrong, and he does it. So,
and he has that clear sense of that clear moral code. The reference
right.
in the Capaldi speech.
Yeah.
We think of things like and where the Doctor himself draws the line. So we think of Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker, and he refuses to effectively wipe the Daleks out before they even come into existence. Mm-hmm. But then flip that into the David Tennant era with Family of Blood, and he punishes the Family of Blood because he gave them a chance to run away. He gave them a chance to.
Doesn't necessarily kill them though. He traps them all.
He does, and it's the whole thing about the Doctor's wrath being the most terrifying thing. He gave them every chance to live peacefully. They didn't. He punishes them.
Yeah.
He will always give that chance for beings to part ways. Stop the killing and go home. A bit like Baldrick, the Doctor and Baldrick. Why can't we just stop killing and just go home? Why, sir?
Are you saying Baldrick's a vigilante?
Baldrick is... Forget your Batman. Baldrick is the ultimate vigilante. In Blackadder, that's the whole point of Blackadder Series 4, is that Baldrick is the biggest idiot, but is the one that speaks the most sense. And no one can answer his questions. Justice for S. Baldrick on the vigilante scale. Anyway, let's get back on topic before I go on a completely different rant. Matt, your favourite vigilante?
Well, I'm probably got a bit of recency bias, but I've always loved Daredevil, to be honest. I find him, because he's one of the more human of the MCU characters, because I forget that he does actually have a superpower as well, because the thing that took away his sight gave him abilities. I always forget that. Because he kind of similarly works to like a bat, doesn't he, where he hears
But Batman was already taken, so.
But you've hit on something there. It's that human element, isn't it? These are not otherworldly beings.
He's always torn. He's literally a walking contradiction. He's a lawyer that is a vigilante, so he works in the law, but he works against the law at the same time. So
that's because through his working as a lawyer and working within the law itself, he sees where the law fails, and that's why he then goes on to.
But obviously, tied into a lot of Vigilante's origins, I think something happened to his dad when he was younger.
Yeah.
Where the law didn't help it, so that kind of shaped him becoming.
Yeah, so isn't his dad I don't know if it's just in the comics or I can't remember in the show. I'm sure it's like a bare knuckle boxer or something.
Definitely in the show he's a boxer.
And then I think they cheat him or something, and
he
dies.
He refuses to throw a fight.
Yeah.
And then because of that, the person that asked him to do that then obviously has him killed. It tends to be, if you look at it, each of the vigilantes that we have so far discussed all have some kind of personal trauma in their background which serves as their origin story. So where the law has failed them, whether it's on a personal level, I know obviously, like you say, Matt Murdock works within the law as well, so he sees it as to why it's not working, but Daredevil with his dad, Batman with his parents, Spider-Man, Uncle Ben, they all have Punisher with his family. They all have something has happened to them in the background, which has then led them down this route to become a superhero. But at the same time, that borderline with the vigilantism.
They're not blessed with remarkable power, a la a Thor or a Superman. There's a cause that inspires their need for justice. Justice is any vigilante story. Justice is the central tenet, isn't it? It's the central theme. Righting a wrong that otherwise won't be wronged if we leave it unchecked.
I just have a spot in my heart for Matt Murdock, to be honest. I don't know why. It's not just because he's got the same name as me.
Bias!
Yes. You don't get many superhero Seans. Just Super Sean.
You can be your own superhero.
That's my justice.
I mean, if you want something to sort of grab onto, Sean, Matt Murdock's Catholic as well. If you want that.
Yeah.
Well, justice for the Catholics. What did we ever do wrong? Don't include
comments.
But that is an interesting part of his character, though. To be fair, his faith. Because you don't get many superheroes that struggle with that part of their life. To be fair. Quite interesting.
I think that's one of the reasons as well, is because he has that sort of religious upbringing as well as a Catholic. That's why, and let's face it, Daredevil is brutal in the way that he deals with them, but again, he stops.
It's almost
most of the time, he stops at a point where he will not kill. He'll maim and break bones and things like that, but that moral compass, which is rooted in his religious upbringing, he stops. Obviously, I know. In the current series, spoilers for what people are going to, if they haven't seen it. It's explored a bit more because he does overstep the line, but it's a religious upbringing that's given him that moral compass of there'll be a point that I go to and don't go beyond.
So murdering, it's almost a sort of.
Whereas other vigilantes, and I suppose I was going to bring these up. These are you. Sort of class them as vigilantes. If you look at any of the assassins in the Assassin's Creed games, they are technically vigilantes because they have this sort of code that they adhere to. Whatever they're doing, they're doing it for this code. They're stopping the Templars because they're evil and blah, blah, blah. But they'll do that by actually just going around and killing people, outright killing people. But they are technically vigilantes because they believe what they are doing is right. And you get that in quite a few game characters that end up being vigilantes as well. Come on to a few of them in a bit.
Before we do though, Jack, you must have...
Jack?
Jack? Who's Jack?
I don't know. Jack?
JJ.
JJ. Like,
I'll go by Jack if you want.
JJ.
Whatever you like, baby.
Edit that out.
James, Jack, anyone.
But JJ, you must have a favourite vigilante as well.
Let me have a look. I wrote a few down. I always put it in my phone just for when we do these things.
I've got my tablet. It's got notes.
Yes, all up here for me.
So, because I know I'm probably one of the main anime people. I don't know if anyone's seen Death Note.
Yes, I have. One of the few animes I have seen Death Note.
Like Yagami, the main character, He's a vigilante.
Oh.
I mean, he gets a bit megalomaniac where it's kind of, I am God and I pick who deserves to live and die. But when he starts out, he's watching the news and going, that person's a murderer, the SA person, and he kills those people because he thinks that the law's not doing what it should. So he is one of those.
So there's a common theme there, isn't there? This idea of almost like a god complex, like I must act, I must be judge, jury, and executioner. Batman, the Doctor, Light, or this idea that there's almost quite religious undertone to it, even with Matt Murdock. There's God's wrath, yeah, God's love. There's an idea of showing God's love or the love of this godly character by restoring justice, by protecting the innocent. So there's a common theme there that we've hit on, haven't we? Without we didn't discuss that beforehand, but with all these people that we've said, that godly element does come into it. Whereas a superhero is already godly to begin with. Like we say, Thor is a god. Superman is a demigod. Vigilantes are people who see themselves directly or indirectly as gods.
So this kind of brings it back to the religious thing. Symbols.
Yes.
Batman has a symbol. Say they need a symbol. Does Daredevil have one?
No, not really. I wouldn't say.
There's Punisher, obviously, where he does the skull and either spray paints it or in fire. Like Yagami, he starts obviously the what do you call it, a cult, I suppose.
I suppose so.
It's Kira who's meant to be the new god, and he creates this. He becomes the symbol of this new world. So symbols are quite a. So that could be a thing.
And
so
that religious iconography, it does feed into the way that
oh, we're getting nice and deep into
oh,
this
aren't
now.
we just? Yeah.
I can chew on it.
Oh. Yeah, Batman has the symbol. The Doctor does the Doctor have a symbol as such?
The TARDIS.
Yeah, the TARDIS is the symbol, isn't
That
it?
noise.
The sound of hope, isn't it?
Wow.
I think is it Tennant that says that? That's the sound of hope. Is that Tennant's Doctor, or is
River
that
Song
Tennant?
says it to the Doctor. The
That's
sound, the TARDIS sound, sort of gives people hope.
Yes.
But then, obviously, on the flip side, the Doctor's name puts fear into the hearts of those that are doing evil.
The Doctor, because the name itself is a symbol, isn't it? It's a statement. It's a mission statement for the Doctor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could argue that Superman. Again, we talked about Superman. There is a symbol there. It says the S means hope in Kryptonian, doesn't it? But this is where we go back to the line of superheroes who are imbued with power versus superheroes who act in a sort of sense of right and wrong. Spider-Man doesn't really have a symbol, does he? He doesn't leave the spider as a calling card.
He leaves
does
the
he?
web.
He leaves his web. Sometimes when you go back to the earlier comic books, and obviously he would sort of leave notes saying, "I'm your friend, neighbourhood Spider-Man."
Oh yes, you're right.
Doesn't so much do that these days, but he would sort of.
So maybe the symbols is actually more of a universal superhero thing rather than necessarily vigilante. That's probably more of a universal superhero motif, isn't it?
But within the comics, and obviously there are characters that do see. J. Jonah Jameson, for example, does see Spider-Man as being a vigilante. He doesn't see him as a hero.
Yes.
So even though Spider-Man to everyone would be sort of he's everyone sort of entry-level
Friendly
superheroes.
neighbourhood Spider. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
There are characters within that universe that see him not. He's fighting crime. He's saving people. He's fighting the Green Goblin and things like supervillains and whatnot. But either way, he's still going outside the law.
He is
To do that, so there are people
but
within
again,
that universe that then see these superheroes, even on street level, or even they could even see, like you say, Thor as a vigilante because he's doing it outside of the law.
doing it.
So within their in universe, they are still seen as vigilantes, regardless.
It is true. That is a really good.
It's one of the reasons why Jameson hates Spider-Man so much because he sees him as a
Jameson's
vigilante.
not meant to represent the law. Jameson's meant to represent the media.
Yes.
Jameson isn't the law. It's not the law in Spider-Man's universe. The cops are not corrupt. There may be in the comics some story about lines about corrupt coppers, but they are well-intentioned people who can't deal with the threat posed by a Green Goblin or a Rhino or a Dr. Octopus. They certainly try. Jameson isn't meant to represent the law, he's meant to represent how perceptions of people doing good can be twisted.
He's going out there
profit.
trying to put this perception on Spider-Man that he is a vigilante, so that all people don't believe it.
If Jameson thought there was money in it for him, he would support Spider-Man. If Jameson thought that was a profitable angle, he would fully support Spider-Man. Of course he would. It's only where he feels he can sell a story. Well, we really have gone tangential, haven't we?
When it comes to symbols, though, have you heard of, like how the Punisher symbol is used in the comics and actually in real life?
In real life?
People have been like having it as tattoos and like cops and things.
Oh,
using it and twisting it into something that's like, oh yeah, I'm like kind of like the Punisher because I deal like
police. I think policemen in America love the Punisher because they love guns. They're like, I'm the Punisher because I go out and shoot bad guys. Half of the time you don't actually shoot bad guys, you just shoot normal people.
So it's weird that like someone outside the law has been twisted into something that lawmen have been using to like, we do this. It's like it's interesting, but because John Bernthal has actually said to people that like, I'm not someone that should be looked up to, that character.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like, he's like the bad guy kind of thing. He says it all the time. So like, don't look up to him. It's not something you should like.
It's a sad indictment of society, isn't it?
But it must be rooted in some elements of truth, because obviously you get loads of shows and games and films and whatnot of like cops in America going rogue because they've seen that the law isn't working for them and they go to take people down. It must be rooted in some. There must be people police officers in America that do that. And so by looking up to people like the Punisher and stuff.
Well, you've just got me thinking of someone we haven't mentioned yet. Dexter.
My neighbour.
Your neighbour? What?
Next, neighbour's a vigilante.
He
Hold
has
the phone.
He has done an act of vigilantism. So not long after we moved in, he knocked on the door to say, "Oh, just to make you aware, don't leave any valuables in the car. There's been a spate of break-ins in cars in the area and whatnot." So fair enough. You think, oh, he's doing the neighbourly thing of letting me know and whatnot. 2 days later, I get another knock on the door and went, "It's been dealt with. Me and my mates have found him."
And no further questions were asked.
I very quickly closed the door.
So what you're saying is that the Neighbourhood Watch is actually a brand of vigilante,
Yeah, well, again, it could very well be.
Is his last name Castle?
I've lived there 3 years and I don't actually know his name.
First name Frank?
Don't even know that. We never actually introduced ourselves to each other.
He's just the guy next door.
Dealt with
He's just the guy next door, isn't it? Not, we've dealt with him now. Me and my mates found him. You're only like a teenager that was apparently doing it, and these are like big blokes in their 30s. So, yeah.
Were they all there, or was it just him?
It was only him that admitted it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, just you knock on the door, open
So
it,
that's-
and your neighbour with
that's-
loads of guys behind it. We sorted him out, mate.
We've dealt with it, don't worry. Your car is safe. You can leave your wristwatch on your car dashboard. This area of Derby is safe.
He can't see anymore, so...
He won't see. Well, they blinded him.
And now Daredevil.
Or a Derby version of Daredevil.
Derby Devil.
Derby Devil.
I'm just trying to imagine a superhero universe where Derby was the setting.
I'll tell you now, Spider-Man ain't swinging around. He'd just be jumping from rooftop to rooftop to rooftop.
Can we fight on top of the Westfield, mate? Can we please? Or the Derby or whatever it's called these days. Can we fight on
Just so he
there?
has a bit of height.
Yeah, I need the leverage.
Now we have gone on a tangent. There we
Were
go.
you going to say Dexter?
Dexter, the one we haven't mentioned, and it goes on to what Lewis said about someone who actually is within the establishment, and then comes out of it because they see where it's failing. Dexter is. Have we asked Dave? Sorry, Dave. Did we ask you who your favourite was? Your favourite
It
vigilante?
depends. V from V for Vendetta.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
can't believe I didn't think of that one.
Can I just say that I love big words, and not to make myself sound clever. I do. I used to teach. I used to be an English teacher for a living. I do love big words, and I love big words that have the letter V in them.
Violence.
The speech in V for Vendetta is word porn. It gives me a little sentiment. It really does. That's me, guys. That's who I am. Dave, carry on.
But I think two of mine are actually because of Alan Moore. Alan Moore obviously wrote V for Vendetta, and also he wrote The Watchmen, which is one of the bits I like.
Yes.
But with V, it goes on about the kind of what the actual state is. It's not Nazism, but it's not patriotism either. It's kind of like it's an authoritarian state. And it's set up, and when you read the history behind it all, he's one of the few people that hasn't been indoctrinated into the security of the state.
Mm.
And it's this rebellion and level against it, saying that the morally corrupt created a morally corrupt society which you all accept as being the norm, and this is not the case. I think it's also in what's the Christian Bale film when Kung Fu.
Oh,
Equilibrium.
yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the kind of scenario as V for Vendetta is that it's a corrupt governmental body is effectively forcing the individuals to live their life how they see it the correct way. And it's about returning to a level of normality, and that they are doing it in a way not particularly just, but it's the way that needs to be done for the people to realise that they're being manipulated.
And that I think that's a really good point that leads us on to one of the topics of discussion today, which is why does this character, this vigilante character, why does it resonate with people so much? Why do people love the outsider taking the law into their own hands? And I think it's what you've said there, Dave, is really true. People would like to believe that they would not fall for corruption. They would like to believe that if society were to become authoritarian or totalitarian as it is in V for Vendetta, that they would be the lone voice that rallied against it. And you see sort of so much of this now on places like QAnon and people like Alex Jones. They sort of see themselves as crusaders. Go back to what I said about Batman, the crusaders for the truth in a corrupt society. So it works both ways. I mean, good people, people who we believe are a bit daft, like people like Alex Jones, and people who we might believe are morally good, could see themselves as this righteous outsider. It taps into that feeling, doesn't it? And you see it so often now. This idea that if society were to collapse tomorrow, I would maintain my values. I would be principled. I would be strong because I've got a strong moral compass. Why else does this character sell so well? Why is it such popular?
Well, I think probably schools as well. From an early age, you go and they've got the whole thing now of the zero fighting policy thing. So even if someone's bullying you and they go up and they hit you, they will come and you'll get told off, and you both get detention and both get in trouble. And it's like, if you were when you're a kid, you'd be like, oh, I just wish I could do something about it and not be outside of the law.
That idea of justice, isn't it? The bully punches the weaker kid punches back, the teacher gives them both a detention. That's equilibrium. The weaker kid punches back and the teacher says, well done, that's justice. A little side note, by the way. Yes, Sky, I used to work in schools. I still do work in schools, I just don't teach anymore. Yes, the no fighting thing absolutely is policy. But we, as teachers, as people who work with kids, we love it when the weaker kid hits back. We absolutely do.
We just don't openly condone it.
We don't openly condone it. So I won't name the school, but it was a Year 9 lad. He had special needs. He was being... This one lad was just constantly chirping at him. This Year 9 lad, they had the special needs. He hit back. And we all went... I mean, we have to punish him because it's in policy, but we're not angry with him. We're not in the slightest angry with him. We're so how do you convey that to a 14-year-old of what you did was wrong, but we're damn proud of you for doing it. Good lad. And we tell kids, stand up for yourself. Oh, but not like that. Not like that. Stand up to bullies. They only need the message once. Oh, but not like that. And I think it's where it appears what we said again. We have to know where to draw that line between what is legally right and what's just. And the weak kid fighting back is not legally right in terms of the rules of the schools, but god damn, it's just, and we're happy to see it. Mm-hmm. And we like that. It does come down to that sort of wish fulfillment that we wish that we could live in a just world. And we don't.
That's a fulfillment with the vigilante thing though, you know, like they're doing what we wish we could kind of thing. You know, like getting justice.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
No matter what.
And get away with it because they do. Mm. So we're gonna dish out justice without consequence to ourselves. So we know we're acting outside of the law. So we know we're that weak kid standing up to the bully, but we're not going to suffer that detention.
I would argue that some more modern vigilantes do kind of show the consequences of being a vigilante. You know, like even in like the newest, well not the newest because that's Robert Pattinson, but the one before that. You know, like you saw that the toll that it took on Christian Bale's Batman, didn't you? Like his life and on his physical body, like his
isolation, deliberately taking the blame for everything that Harvey had done.
Yeah.
You saw the mental and physical toll that took on him, which is I love that trilogy of films so much. But yes, carry on that.
Even in like Daredevil, obviously, like you see like the mental toll that it takes on people. Like with the Punisher, you see. Like he has like no life. Like that is his life. Like being a vigilante. Like it encapsulates like everything that he is.
But is that because? Is it more because like the what's his name? Thomas Jane Punisher films.
Yeah.
He obviously lives in that apartment, don't he? And he makes friends with the people there against his will, kind of. You know, they're like, we'll bring you in. But then they end up getting hurt because of it. So that I suppose that does show the other side of, you know, like you said, the loners. Very much most of the vigilantes are loners because they can't have family, they can't have friends, because what they do means that either the law's going to come after, if they can't get them, they'll, you know, the police will go and arrest the family, or the bad guys go and kill their family.
Which turn about all superheroes, they, you know, to an element, have to be vigilantes and have to protect their identities, to protect the people they love, don't they? So
yeah, but Superman doesn't really try though, does he?
Superman doesn't.
He puts spare glasses on because what are you going to do?
I am Superman. I'm Clark Kent.
Because
there's no way that can be Superman. He's got glasses on.
Even if it was, would you say anything to him? But like, you're Superman. His eyes light up. No, I'm not. Oh, sorry, I must be mistaken. I mean, Thor doesn't.
And that's why Homelander just doesn't care. I know who you are, do you? Bang, dead.
There we go.
I mean,
Not anymore.
He doesn't have an identity, does he, Homelander? He just is Homelander.
Yeah, that's right. He's just taken on his entire superhero persona. Just, this is me, and then anyone that he sort of pisses him off, he's just dead.
It's like Thor because he's a god. Like he doesn't need to hide his identity. He's Thor. He goes to waffle houses. And...
No, but in the earlier days, he did. Whenever he came to Earth, he would have a alter ego persona.
And then they realised that they didn't need to.
Yeah, they sort of wrote it out. Originally, he did.
Yeah. You haven't filed your taxes. Oh, I don't care.
It just made me wonder the 5 years between Infinity War and Endgame. Like, how was we know how Thor was living because we see it, but was he just going to the shops and buying beer? Was he just...
to the local spa?
How was he buying said beer? Did he have Norwegian currency? Like,
I think he just walked in and just grabbed it.
Yeah, it's like, I am Thor.
More for Thor.
It accounts to get on to online games like
got like a profile picture.
Thor at Gmail. Thor Odinson. Thor.odinson@gmail.com because Thor Odinson was taken. I don't know. You know.
Can you imagine that? Then?
It's more plausible that Thor, when they set up New Asgard in Norway, that he was then able to, get currency and set up his own. That's far more plausible than Batman having a credit card.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Damn it, Joel Schumacher. We can suspend our disbelief for Thor having a Gmail account.
I think you're on mute again, Dave.
Suspend our disbelief.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, talking about Batman. Batman is either committing identity fraud or committing insurance fraud. driving without insurance, because how the hell did he insure the Batman?
This is very, very true. Very,
Yes.
very true.
It'd be very expensive.
So, Mr. Man, you've got to. I assume that's how he applies for insurance, Mr. B Man. You're driving an armoured tank on civilian streets at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. And
With
you want-
boosters.
with boosters and weaponry,
guns.
and you want a policy. Yes.
I need to see some ID.
No.
I can just imagine he just grabs the clerk's head and just slams it off the desk and then just go,
Why did you do
I'll
that?
just sign that for you.
Because it was. Yeah, Dave's absolutely spot on. Batman is either a credit card fraud or an insurance fraud. One or the other.
Both.
Both.
Who's driving around without insurance or MOT is technically a vigilante.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Taking the law into their own hands.
We do not endorse that, by the way.
No.
Yeah, don't get insured.
Well, vigilantism in general.
Unless you're the weak kid hitting the school bully.
At what point, though, when it comes to Batman, obviously, you know, he is, like Sean has said, he is the first one that you think springs to mind whenever you think of a vigilante. It is Batman because of the things that we've discussed. But realistically, at what point do you think, should we really condone what Batman's doing? Because at the end of the day, Batman is just going around beating up the mentally disabled people. Every villain he takes on ends up in Arkham Asylum, so he is just beating on mentally disabled people.
He's a wealthy cosplayer who beats up the mentally ill. Like
Yes.
And we're all applauding him.
We're all.
And drug addicts. No, most
The
of the
drug
people,
addicts.
the street level ones, the thugs he
Yeah.
beats up,
Yeah.
they're just, I just work for Falcone because I've got a coke addiction.
I think to my mind, there's only one, and we haven't mentioned these guys yet. There's only one set of superheroes who any definition of vigilantism we've come up with today could not be applied to.
Power Rangers.
Exactly. Exactly. There's nothing about the Power Rangers that you could apply any definition of vigilantism to at all.
I don't know. They're not. It's going against interstellar beings. You know, they still beat up people in the street.
Do they?
Yeah.
Monsters, aliens.
Well,
They're
aliens.
These
Yeah.
monsters.
They don't fight crime, do they?
yeah.
So that's quite. I guess it's fighting an interstellar entity that's trying to take over the world is not a crime.
Not in the laws of Angel Grove City. I think you'll find there's nothing in the Angel Grove Charter that says thou must not intergalactically invade us. But yeah, the Power Rangers, there's no god complex.
But it's the same with Superman, isn't it? Like, they're doing things that the police couldn't fight that, could they? They couldn't, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
You're under arrest.
I think you
Put them up.
I think your police could, in general, go around. You know, especially because let's face it, what Power Rangers is set in a fictional American city.
Wait, so he's saying Avengers isn't?
They could go around. No, but the police in that city could quite easily go around with their shotguns and things like that and just blow up putty patrollers.
I suppose, yeah.
So at a certain level, there are stuff that the police could do, but the Power Rangers deal with it.
Very dramatically.
Very dramatic.
And with lots of explosions.
Yeah, lots of superhero landings.
Of
They
course,
never
one
get
of the
held
Power
accountable, do they?
But you know the best thing is they only ever seem to destroy the same part of the city every time.
Yeah, it's that same
It's just that same area all the time. Those damn Zords.
A 4-story building that's just about the same height as a person in sort of like a suit.
Yes.
We'll just level the entire bit and they can just fight on there.
And we've mentioned all these characters. We're all smiling. These are all, characters that have defined our childhoods, that have defined our teenage years, that have defined our adulthoods for a lot of us. And I'm sure people listening are nodding along, going, "Oh yeah, that character as well." And why do we love these? It comes back to what we said. They do something that we wish we were able to do. Nerd culture is all about wish fulfillment, isn't it? It's all about wishing we were the cool kid at school, wishing that we were the big strong action hero. It's all, Billy is a lot of people's favourite Power Rangers because he is the nerd, he is the weak kid, but when he has the suit on, he's a mighty hero, he's unstoppable. And we've all wanted that as a child. Who among us has not dressed up as a Power Ranger, dressed up as Spider-Man, dressed up as Batman, whoever, and played those games with our friends and pretended that we have those powers? And it's where it all comes to, this idea that we could be something.
Well, I still do it now.
What you and Amy get up to in your spare time?
I
is-
I was dressed as Buffy yesterday.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. No. But it's true. We
Very
want
interesting bedroom scene.
we want to be that person, and the vigilante thing is because we want to get away with it. We don't look at Spider-Man and think, here is someone who is not suffering the consequences. This is why Spider-Man 2 remains my favourite Spider-Man film, because it brutally lays bare the consequences of his actions, both the selfless and selfish ones. He is selfless, therefore his job, his education, his relationships, they suffer. He becomes selfish as the film progresses. People get hurt, and he can do nothing about it because he's made that selfish choice. It brutally lays bare the choices he makes. No one looks at that film and goes, God, it'd be cool to be Spider-Man because we'd get away with it. It'd be cool to be Spider-Man to have the powers. But then you watch someone like Batman, he is getting away with it. To an extent, we talked obviously about The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, but to a certain extent, he is getting away with it. He can live as Bruce Wayne, wealthy, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. He can live that life. He can live publicly. He can have all the nice trappings that comes with it. He's not punished for his crimes. Spider-Man almost deals his own punishment. We want to be that vigilante hero because we want to be this person and we want to get away with it. We want to be the kid who beats up the school bully and doesn't get the detention. And that's inside all of us. We're all grown men in our 30s. We've all got jobs. Some of us have got kids and are married. But that instinct, boys and girls as well, I should say, it doesn't get. I think it's there for everyone. It doesn't go away. And that's why these characters are so universally popular.
I think one of the best powers that we have is just the unbreakable knees doing the superhero landings.
Yeah.
They're amazing. You can jump down three steps at once and it not hurt.
And did we
That's
say that
great.
Spider-Man deals with the consequences? His back, yes.
Oh yeah.
My back!
My back. But so this is doesn't have to do with vigilantism, but it has to do with Spider-Man. Is rewatching it when I'm older. Does it not feel like a weird euphemism for a certain type of dysfunction, a certain rectile?
Oh, the Spider-Man 2, you mean?
Yeah, so it's.
Oh,
This
because
has
he
never
can't,
happened to me before.
he can't produce the fluid, and he's up and then he's down very quickly.
Rewatching it again, it's very like, hang on a minute.
There's a reason why when we edit this and put it on YouTube, we don't select this video is made for kids.
I said rectile. There's an E missing.
So what's the? Oh, I'm not going to say the climax to that film.
Well, doesn't he take?
It also makes sense now when you think about it, saying that. Why Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man turn around to Tobey Maguire and go, does it come out of
Does
anywhere
it come out
else?
of any other orifice? He is the only Spider-Man who the fluid
He generates
generates organically. Yeah, it's because we can't do that. That's just a side note.
Yeah, that was just a little side note.
Does Spider-Man have erectile dysfunction? that's in the intro.
Is that a natural break point there?
Let's leave it there. I think when we come back, we need to discuss vigilantism in the modern world, don't we? Especially as we touched briefly on society and the misinformation. People like Alex Jones, people like QAnon, people like Andrew Tate. The world is full of people who are so obviously evil. Yes.
Bless you. Just sometimes.
What can we do about it? I think that's where we pick up after the break. We pick out, what is vigilantism in the modern world.
Now it's time for a commercial break.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Right, okay. So going back to what you said earlier, Sean, about how we're drawn to these sort of characters because they are doing what we would like to do. They're sort of, it's the wish fulfillment thing. That, you'd love to go around and beat people to a pummel like Batman does, or massacre.
People that deserve it, of course.
Oh yes, not the mentally disabled like Batman. No, he just beats up mentally disabled people. But you know, to an extent, you get to do that now when it comes to the modern media, because there are quite a lot of games out there now where you are effectively going out playing the vigilante. So you are getting to fulfill those dreams effectively, obviously through a different, through the gaming media, but you are able to do that. There are probably quite a few characters that you guys could mention. You look at the Assassin's Creed games, they, like I said earlier on, they have a sort of a strict code. They're doing, what they're doing is for their beliefs, but they are vigilantes. John Marston in the Red Dead game, the first one at least, he's then going after his original outlaw gang. The American government sort of asked him to track them down and things like that, but the way he goes about it is taking the law into his own hands. One of my favourite game series ever, the Mass Effect game series, you play as Commander Shepard, and in the first game you're given the level of, you're sort of working for the overarching council that runs the galaxy, and they give you this Spectre status, which is effectively means you can do what you want without any consequences. So you become a vigilante there, even though you're sort of working on their behalf. You go through the game, and the game gives you certain choices and things like that, and you can literally pick what you want to do. You can either do it as a Paragon, or you go down the Renegade route and be a bit more dark and things like that, and it goes through those three games. And then one of the characters that I like specifically in that, and he becomes an active vigilante in the second game, is Garrus, because he again works within sort of the police structure within that particular universe and sees how the law doesn't work to how he wants it to, and he just goes completely rogue in the second game, and he's almost doing like a Hawkeye, and he's going around and he's just targeting people and killing them off, because he's seen how the law doesn't work in the in-game universe, and he just thinks, "Fuck this."
And it's interesting you said about games. We talked about wish fulfillment. Games inherently are to do with wish fulfillment, aren't they? We want to drive really fast. We can in a video game. We get to get that sensation. We want to take the law into our own hands at times. We get that with our Red Dead characters and people like that. I don't know what wish fulfillment I was playing when I was playing Simpsons Hit and Run, but
Well, Simpsons Hit and Run is the kid-friendly version of GTA.
Yes,
you wanted to go around and commit crimes and beat up prostitutes and whatnot, but you did it as Homer Simpson is now.
Exactly. Speaking of vigilantes, and speaking of Homer, we haven't mentioned Homer the Vigilante, have we?
I've not seen that. I'm sure I've not seen
You've
that.
definitely
You will
seen
have
that
seen it.
It's
episode.
not a fever dream, is it?
It's the
No.
Sam Neill episode. It's
The
cat burglar.
Cat burglar,
yeah.
And it's
Homer
called
forms his own vigilante group.
Homer the Vigilante, and it's got like all classic Simpsons. It's got some of the most quotable. We don't need a thinker. We need a doer. Someone who will act without considering the consequences. It says to Ned, "Oh, Ned, I'm not really sure about this." And Homer goes, "Well, someone else. I'm someone else."
It's him, it's Homer, Apu, Mo,
Skinner,
Sea
Sea Captain,
Captain going round.
Jimbo Jones.
I do remember this. Yeah.
And it's got my favourite
The cat
line.
burglar's gone around and he's like stolen like specific possessions of people. So obviously Lisa's saxophone's gone, Marge's pearls have gone.
And they go around beating up people with sacks full of doorknobs.
Vigilante justice.
Which Kent says, "Homer, what would you say to the accusations that your vigilante has brought down petty crimes like vandalism by an insignificant amount, 10%, but heavy sack beatings are up by a shocking 900%." And then that leads on to my favourite line in any Simpsons episode ever, and it's when the Simpsons were at its best, when the guest stars were there to play a character and not to play themselves. Sam Neill is the cat burglar, spoilers. And he rings up Kent and Homer on the show, and I will never sell this because it's just Sam Neill's delivery, and he goes, "Hello, Kent. Hello, Homer, my arch nemesis." Homer, completely oblivious, cheering, "Yellow. Homer, you do realise who this is, don't you?" "Marge?" His Sam
It was
Neill's
like,
delivery of "No, Homer, I'm not your wife."
but I am holding her pearls.
It kills me. It kills me every time. Anyway, that massive sidetrack. Wish fulfillment. You're absolutely right. That's what games give us.
Chips in all of our brains, then you'll just be able to.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my god, it would be. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. It would just be what's it? Is it not 6 Day? That's the one where he gets the clone.
Total Recall?
Total Recall, yeah. It would just be Total Recall. You go, oh, I want to be an assassin in Roman times. Beep.
Job done. I look
But
forward
I
to
mean,
it.
you are. It's like there is a Batman Arkham
Yeah, VR.
VR game.
yeah.
So
That'd be cool.
in effect, you can go around and pummel the mentally disabled like Batman does now,
Well, I mean,
And get away with it.
and get away with it.
it's more
Nothing
going
to
up
stop
and,
you doing that now.
It's more going up and playing the piano to get into the Batcave.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, the pummeling part would be cool.
That's
if it
just a
lets you.
side note. It's all about
Yeah, it's all about.
Dave is the side quest.
getting annoyed that Riddler trophy is only just out of reach, and you just can't get it because the stupid clue is as ridiculous.
My first is in canoe, but not in piano. What am I?
Some of them are honestly in that game. Some of the Riddler trophies, the clues that you got to solve to get is infuriating.
Do you remember the Lord of the
friend
Rings
Google.
games? They were so. I played the Two Towers game, and I think I never actually got onto. I mean, I'm not a great gamer, but I think that's well established by now. But I never actually got into the Two Towers content because I always fucking died at Amon Hen.
What is
Like
that?
every
That was the
single
first
time.
level as well.
Is that
No.
because-
You started about halfway through Fellowship. You started at the gates of
Oh
Moria.
yeah.
So you had to kill the Watcher in the water, you had to get through Moria, you had to get... And then it was Amon Hen. I would always die at Amon Hen. What's the Two Towers game like? Tell me. Someone tell me.
That was really
I've never
good.
got into the Two Towers content, ever.
It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Of course it fucking was.
That's because you can use both analogs.
Yes. I
Yeah, looking at the controllers and looking at the screen like me. Yeah, my game's wish fulfillment was I'd have to play pairs and put it on easy mode so I could win a game. You know?
So what you're saying is your vigilante dreams will never be fully lived because you can't play video games
Exactly.
Until the
because-
chip.
Until
the chip.
Until the chip.
or the VR.
Almighty.
Oh, sure,
no,
the
'cause you-
VR would be
no, 'cause
amazing.
you've still got to use
Almighty
something.
Almighty
Yes,
Elon
yes,
implants
yes,
a chip
yes.
in me, my overlord and master. Oh, God.
You know
Cut that
what?
out.
You know what? He's gonna become his own vigilante.
That's how he's going to fulfill his...
Yeah, he's just gonna become a real life vigilante around whatever area of Nottingham you live in.
Who says
He's
I'm
going
not
to
already?
steal the thumbsticks. Just one.
Damn those gamers! I'll take the analogs.
The Radford Rampager. There you go. That's the
It's even got a name.
Radford Rampager.
Thinking
I
about
thought I
this for a
recognised when
while.
you took your glasses off then. I was like, hey, I've seen him!
It's the Rampager. Get who are you?
Just as long as you don't go too far down the crime route, that the Radford Rampager becomes the Radford Rapist.
Oh, well, he's one of my arch nemesis.
Oh right,
I've said too much.
you already have an arch nemesis.
Yeah, but
Don't get me started on the Radford Ravager. Oh, that guy.
I've been very confusing with the because they'd be like, you know, the Daredevil symbol that's 2Ds. They'd be like,
Oh.
They'd be like, which one of you are you?
There's too many RRs in this place.
No, I'm the Ravager, not the.
Not the
Arpist.
rapist or the rampager. Or...
So that I think that somehow leads us on to vigilantism in the modern world. And we are fed now. Vigilantism now is almost an exclusively online thing, and that can be good things. You see pages of people who catfish themselves as children to catch paedophiles. That is
That is
an inherently
yeah.
good thing to do. But then you have people, I mentioned his name, Alex Jones on InfoWars, and people like Andrew Tate who use their platform. They in a way are also vigilantes because they are trying to sell a truth idea, sort of like a V for Vendetta, like an idea of a truth that's being hidden from us, don't they? And you know, they appeal to very disenfranchised young men. Would be one of the big. We say now in the education world, we say the biggest radicalizer is not fundamental Islamic I'll start that again. Islamic extremism, we say the biggest radicaliser is Andrew Tate, because he is appealing to disenfranchised young boys. It's completely wrong. I completely and utterly disagree with everything he says. This is not me endorsing him, but in his own way, he would see himself as a vigilante. Vigilantism in the modern world now is very much an online discourse. And how do we reconcile that with our view of vigilantes? How would we see ourselves? I mean, for me, vigilantism is just putting "you okay, hun" on someone's status when they're being a bit of a racist or a sexist. I think that's my vigilantism. Andrew Tate, it's gay to have sex with a woman. You okay, hun? You know, it's the little things we can do.
Mine would be my rampant piratism. Like, you know, not theoretically, should I say, if anyone's listening?
Yes.
You know, theoretically, if I had some kind of Amazon device that can let me watch things for free, then that's my vigilantism.
Which we're not endorsing.
I want. Yes.
Of course.
Theoretically.
And if you could tell us where we could get one of those things so we know where to avoid it, that would be great.
I will tell you off camera for a small fee.
£50 a month.
I think, for me, it's sort of like modern vigilantism has been very much... The image of vigilantes has been controlled by the media. Because if you look at people like... so like when people have protested, they dressed up as Spider-Man, they climbed on the House of Parliament, etc., to make a statement. The media is so negative to what they're doing, not to the message that they're saying. And it's people like Don't Stop Oil. Stop Oil, sorry. I completely agree with what they're doing, but their level of vigilantism is so negative that it has the opposite effect on it.
Yeah.
And is it at a level of, because of, that's what we've been encouraged to believe is the thing, is that you can't now stand against it because it destabilises the status quo. And that's kind of like, is that something that's been influenced on it?
It's the great line, isn't it? It's the brilliant line every time. Oh, I agree with the right to protest, but they're protesting in the wrong way. Well, I'm sure we've said this about Emily Wilding Davidson and Emmeline Pankhurst throwing herself in front of that horse. You know, it's what is the right way to protest? What is the correct way? If you truly fundamentally believe that something is morally wrong, then what is the correct way to protest? And I think you're absolutely spot on, Dave. It is how the media portray it is so crucial to how we see these people, isn't it? You know, a Just Stop Oil protester is probably making a damn good point about the future of the planet.
But because he's thrown a tin of Heinz tomato soup over
a work of art, it's
people, turn against them.
I mean, from that perspective, you know, the person who sat there 200 years ago doing an oil painting hasn't caused damage to the planet because they didn't have a car.
Exactly.
They didn't use a load of electricity. Well, any electricity. So what are you actually doing?
So what we're saying is Van Gogh is not an environmental terrorist. You know, it's
vigilantism in the real world. What about is it Luigi? Not the
Luigi Manoli. Yes. And he alleged a United States healthcare CEO who had denied, it's very, very sore six, denied coverage to millions of patients. And
the billionaire that was shot on the street, that one, yes.
The online discourse around this man is very much, well, if he didn't make that point in that way, who else would have done?
Exactly.
And
I think that's...
He is a vigilante.
Yeah.
Allegedly, of course, we should say.
Allegedly.
Some would see him as a criminal. Quite a lot of people.
Some would see him as a...
Wait, who? The healthcare guy, or...?
Yes. But you know who doesn't? His family who have now come into a lot of wealth.
No, what
Cut that.
would have been actually hilarious is if he had survived the initial shooting and got to the hospital and said, "Sorry, coverage has been denied." Oh, who made that decision?
You did.
You made your own hospital bed, now don't sleep in it.
Do you want to know what the ironic thing is? What? Well, you're a billionaire, but you're wanting to use your shitty insurance to fund your medical bills, and your medical bills aren't going to be covered by your insurance.
I think we do put our own beliefs onto what vigilantes represent, because, you know, I would say that that's a form of vigilantism. You know, the attacking the CEO health insurance guy who denies millions of people access to healthcare. And I would say that someone like, again, an Andrew Tate is an idiot, but he would see himself as a vigilante. So vigilantism is very much our own beliefs are imposed on these people, aren't they? So someone like, I'm trying to think of a good example. You know, I see myself as quite a liberal person. So if there were to be, I don't know, if we had laws in this country around abortion, the same way that Trump is trying to introduce in America, I would see it quite a noble form of vigilantism to attack a protester outside an abortion clinic. You're harassing a woman in a very vulnerable state. They might see themselves as a vigilante for attacking the woman getting the abortion. So it's a very
subjective
thing, isn't it? You know, it's, I would side with the woman going through that in that scenario, and I would want to see justice meted out to the person vilifying them, but the person vilifying them probably thinks that they are also a vigilante.
What's the subjective versus objective truth, I suppose?
Exactly.
Where it would be, you know, from a normal person's kind of view, you'd be like, that. The example you used would be like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
But then subjectively would be, like you said, the protester thinking, no, I'm right because that clump of cells is actually.
They would argue a sort of Kantian objective truth that they are right. I would ask them, does the right to life extend to, you know, when they're 18, you're sending them to fight in the Middle East? But, you know, whatever.
What would
Too political.
Sorry, cut that out.
No, leave it in.
might get some views.
Yeah.
Well,
Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Or sure, the cult that they're allowed to play and
Jesus,
stuff like
man.
that. Yeah. Like, so you can imagine it'd be the Punisher, but he has a cross.
The Redeemer. I love it. Oh, this is brilliant.
So
Thou shalt not.
Maybe we'll have to do that for
Vigilante justice on a heavily religious scale.
Could we do? Maybe we could do a future episode on very, very obscure superheroes.
And the Redeemer would be one of them.
Yes,
The priest.
You've also got to do enemies as well.
and enemies.
Yeah.
The priest.
Oh, one of the enemies, the arch enemy of Jesus Man, is woman who does not get married but also has sex. Single mother.
I thought I'd find you here, single mother.
On the shop, how dare you?
Is it Family Guy that's got the Super Devil as well?
The super devil. I can imagine that.
I did think of something there, but I'm thinking I might actually have to cut that out because it might just be going a little bit too far.
Stepping the line.
What the Redeemer's source of weakness would be, and then it might be offending too many people by saying it. So I decided not to.
Gunshot wound to the hand.
Oh dear.
On a complete side note,
Thinking far worse than that.
on a complete side note, I had a friend at uni. If you're listening, Dave, you're a legend for this. Not that Dave. Although this Dave is still a legend. But my mate Dave from uni, he said he went to a Catholic school and the teachers didn't really like him. And he tried to impress...
So he didn't get buggered?
He didn't get buggered, no. He escaped. Cut that out. He thought he'd try and win the teachers over.
By buggering them?
Like we're revealing school clothing.
He thought he'd try and win their favour by telling them a joke about Jesus, because in his little mind it was like, oh, well, They like Jesus. People like jokes. I'll tell them a Jesus joke. And he walked up to the teacher and he said,
This is all stayed in.
What's this? What's this? It's Jesus trying to hold a Malteser.
Staying in, this gets views.
Dave Castle, you're a legend. I love you, man, honestly.
Dave Castle.
His name's
Mr.
Dave
Frank.
Castle. Yes, his name's Dave Castle.
Castle, he's going to be a vigilante.
And that's where it all started. He changed his name to Frank because he was,
Yeah.
he was persecuted in school.
He wasn't persecuted, this is the problem.
He was
That's
speaking the
perverted.
truth. He was a vigilante. He was speaking his truth. Nessa is a vigilante from Captain and Stacey. She speaks her truth no matter what. Anyway, we've got very
You've
sidetracked.
been very sidetracked there.
So about Spider-Man and his
Let's reel it
special
back in,
pills.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of injustice in the modern world, and I think we can all agree with. I've been to football matches. I've seen and heard homophobic comments at football, sexist comments. If you were to punch that person in the face, would that make you a vigilante? Probably yes. You'd probably get a ban, but would it be worth it? Again, probably also yes.
I suppose if we're talking...
I've been to games before where I've heard my fellow Forest fans singing horrendous things about the children in the Derby fire from 2012, and I walked out. Now it goes back to what Dave said, about the lawful good, lawful neutral. That's very much a lawful neutral thing to do. I just walked out. It was what they were singing was disgusting. What good did that do? What good did that do me walking out? It didn't do anything. If I punched someone in the face, that would be lawful chaotic. I'd have probably got a ban, but might have done some more good.
You could have punched all of them in the face.
I could have punched 100 people in the face simultaneously. Yes.
And your hand would probably hurt after.
And then my superhero name would have been the hospital bed.
I suppose that brings us on to what would we do if we were
What would we do?
become
Yeah.
vigilantes? What would we do?
And what would drive you to that?
I know what my dad would do. My dad would write a strongly worded letter. That would be my dad's superpower. Letter man.
So what you're saying is, what would push us to be vigilantes?
Like, is there anything in the past that we've thought, like, I'm close to doing something about this kind of thing, possibly?
I like to think of myself as a person who does say what they think is right. One of the big things, I worked in retail for years. Customers in retail. I'm sorry if you're a customer listening to this. You're a dick. I'm sorry.
You're an idiot.
You just are. If you've not worked in retail, you just don't understand. And if I'm queuing and I see the person in front of me being an arse to the person behind the counter, I will always, and it's a point of principle, I will always say something. I don't care. It's one of the things where my wife's like, Sean, stop it, you're being embarrassed. I was like, I don't know. It's just that person behind the counter cannot do a thing about your idiotic behaviour. I've seen like guys get refused sale of alcohol because they don't have their ID, and yeah, they probably are over 18. The rule is challenge 25. It's not worth the cashier's time getting it wrong. And I've just said, look, mate, just give it up and give it a rest and go. So that's my vigilantism in the modern world.
I've got two stories for my own vigilantism. So one comes back to the retail thing. It was a Christmas one year. I was working at Aldi. This guy came in. He's steaming, possibly on drugs also.
Oh, I know this story.
He came in, started having a go at the manager because he's like eating a sandwich without paying. And he throws a tin of beans at the manager. Luckily, she ducked. It embedded into the column in the middle of the aisle. So
Nice.
it's a good
What
thing
was he
that-
on? Well, how weak are the columns?
I think they're paper mache pretty much. But, so obviously a load of us came down and kind of was like, he started backing up and went out of the doors. So I walked down and I'm near the exit. He goes out and we all go, yeah, oh, good job guys. Yeah, He comes back in through the entrance because I know at Aldi's they're right next to each other. So he goes out of the exit, straight through the entrance. Someone, I don't know who it was, if you're listening, stupid idea putting bottles of Baileys right near the entrance door. So he then grabs the Baileys and starts. I'm there, Neo. All of these, this smashing on the windows, smashing on the floor, everywhere. And luckily, a vigilante came to the rescue. He was right near one of the tills. Loads of people just stood there, just going, "Whoa, this is cool." One guy came out and he dived on him, just took him to the floor. One of my other colleagues jumped on him. Then I ran over, jumped on him as well, and we had to hold him there until the police came. But if that vigilante hadn't jumped in, you know,
how many more bottles of Baileys would have been smashed?
Yeah, how many more Baileys would have been smashed or potentially killed me? So, my second one is me personally. I was on a night out at NG1, which I think is closed now.
Yeah, it's gone now. Yeah.
I knew the bouncer, so I'm out in the smoking area. We're all talking and whatever. This guy starts a fight with someone. Pushes the other guy over, and I'm there like, "You're gonna do something?" You know, he's playing 8-ball pool on his phone. He's going, yeah man, do it in a minute. And I'm like, this ain't going well. This guy's on the floor. The other guy mounts him, and I can just see him. You know, he's gonna. You know, if you're getting punched from top down on concrete, so I went up. And I literally just grabbed him by his belt and just threw him. And I was quite impressed. I was like, "Whoa, I didn't know I was that strong." Literally just pulled him and threw him, and he flew backwards and landed back on his feet, kind of like, "Huh?
How did I end up here?"
And then kind of like turned around to be like, "Hey, what you doing?" And then saw me and kind of went, "Oh, sorry, mate." and then he finished his game, so he came in and was like, "Oh, stop it, man, stop it, you get out, you're banned." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, mate, I've just done your job for you."
Yeah.
But if I hadn't stepped in, someone could have potentially had
a
brain
great
damage.
point about bystander syndrome there. Like, if we see... And this is a bit of a PSA, if you're ever in a situation where you are in danger in public, don't just shout help. Just point someone individually and get them to help you, because bystander syndrome, we're all guilty of it, and again it taps into why we love vigilantes so much. We're all guilty of saying someone else will deal with that, or I don't need to do, or it's not worth the risk me dealing with that.
But what if you have crippling social anxiety and you can't make eye contact? hey, you, me. No, the other one.
That'd be even worse if the person you point at has also got crippling anxiety. What? Me? No?
Help, I'm being murdered.
It's why if you're being attacked, they say don't shout help, shout fire, because it elicits a different response, doesn't it?
Unless one gets a bullet to the face.
Curiosity.
Yes.
If you shout fire, people are more interested to go and see, oh, what's on fire, what's burning. But like you say, there's the imposter syndrome and bystander. Not my back garden, not my problem.
Yeah.
The whole thing that's going off in sort of like Ukraine at the moment is, realistically, you look at it, is it affecting us personally? And we go, no. So we're not actively involved in the situation that's going on there. We all sympathise with what's happening to the Ukrainians, but we're not doing sort of like, it's an extra £25 a month Red Cross or anything like that. We're just going on about our daily life. If it's not our back garden, not our problem.
So the only way to stir the British into action is if you invade Ireland. And then the British will go, hang on, that's our job. Putin, get out of Ireland. Only we can invade Ireland. Is that what you're saying, Dave? They better not invade Scotland. Oh, Christ. We'll have him then.
If it becomes more of an issue for Central Europe, so say if Poland was hit,
yeah,
so like Ukraine fall, then you've got the Baltic states get very twitchy. Central Europe won't really be there, even though they are NATO members. But as the Poland gets hit, right in the centre, right on the back garden of Germany, there's more of an inclination for them to be involved in it.
Yeah.
We all know what happens when Germany gets involved.
Did you see the Kevin Bridges sketch about Germany? Germany being like a recovering alcoholic with its use of tanks. It's like, oh no, we can't do it again. We can't send our tanks across Europe again. Just one Germany, come on, just help out, you'll be fine. No, can't do it to myself. That's how it happened last time.
Temptation.
Yeah. Go on, Germany, just a couple of tanks for the lads, you'll be reading. Kevin Bridges, very funny comedian, by the way. But it's true, isn't it? I mean, we're all part of NATO. We're a part of a North Atlantic something, or whatever it stands for. And we're all going, oh, Ukraine is a NATO member. And we're all going,
They're not NATO members.
they're not, but they want to be,
but they're
don't
not.
they? And we're all kind of going, oh, this is terrible. Someone should do something. You do something, Germany. You do something, Britain. You're absolutely right, Dave. If it was, I don't know, France or something, right next door, we probably would get involved.
I don't know, the French.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. All right, if it was to Denmark, I don't know. Who'd invade Denmark for the Lego, I suppose.
I would.
Mine Lego.
I would.
But
Coming for you.
we're all part of NATO, and we're all kind of pointing at each other, going, "You sort it out. You do something about Putin."
To join NATO is that if they were accepted, it would mean that NATO has to openly declare war on Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's right. No one
But that-
declares war anymore.
But that's only that's only by Putin's own terms. That's only because Vladimir Putin believes that to be the case. We're getting far too political.
We're talking about movies or something?
Who would have thought we'd be talking about Vladimir Putin?
Vigilantes!
The vigilante is the one who... No, don't say that, Sean. You get arrested.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll put that in as subtitles.
I'm part Russian as well. I shouldn't be saying this. I'm distantly related to the Russian aristocracy on my dad's side. I should not be calling out Vladimir Putin in the slightest. But
We'll send you over.
yeah,
Talk
give me Sean Wright Kelly and I let Ukraine go. Okay.
Don't think we wouldn't.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would.
Yeah, well,
But I think pulling us back towards where we were conversation-wise, obviously the two bits we want to discuss is the modern media is showing the ramifications of vigilantism, and the other one is what would we do if we could?
Well, again, it's
So
the idea that we could get away with it. So
I'd do it. If I could get away with it, hell
yeah. I think Banksy is a good example because he is, for all intents and purposes, or she, we don't know. It's Neil Buchanan, I'm telling you. For all intents and purposes, they're a criminal.
Yeah.
But their identity, their pseudonym, allows them to get away with what they're doing, and they're spreading a powerful message. The Just Stop Oil guys aren't getting away with it. They are being openly ridiculed in the media. If you could somehow do what you believe to be morally right and do it in secret, you become, for want of a better word, you become sexy. You become cool in the eyes of the media, don't
sexy.
you? The outsider, the unknown outsider. Banksy is sexy. Neil Buchanan is sexy. Good God.
I've seen some photos of him in his band. Still got it.
Still got it.
what, Neil Buchanan?
Yeah, he's in a metal band.
yeah,
What?
yeah, he performed when I was at uni.
That's amazing.
That is incredible.
It was amazing.
We're gonna come on to Neil Buchanan being Banksy when we come up to our conspiracy theory episode.
Well, if you get big enough and we have special guests, then
Bring him on!
Neil Buchanan.
I could be Banksy. You don't know.
But what we need
I've
to
seen
do,
you draw. You ain't Banksy.
That's what I want you to think.
if we get Neil Buchanan on, what we need to do is get like a cardboard cutout of him and then go, oh, and here's one I made earlier, and he comes out.
But I think it's the idea of, you want to do what is right, even if it's outside the law, and you want to get away with it. And how the media portrays you is that if you can get away with it, that's enticing. We can't help it. That's a story to sell. Just Stop Oil. The story to sell is how the media can ridicule them. Banksy, the story to sell is, who is he? Or she? We don't know.
Or them. It
Or
could
them.
be more than one
Or
person.
them. Or them. Well, I thought you were going to say
No.
they might identify.
They might identify. It might be a product, but there's nothing there that doesn't say it's not a group of people doing
That's very
that.
true, yeah.
It could be a group of people all going under the pseudonym of Banksy.
So if you identify as
It is
Banksy, let us know.
individual. People do know who Banksy is.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's definitely just they could still identify as them.
Yeah.
Them, yeah.
Don't be going all American on us now, Sean, saying there's only 2 genders.
As if I would ever do a thing like that. Do an American thing. We're getting massively on topic again, aren't we? Yeah, it's the idea that you are cool. Vigilantes are cool. That is something inherently cool about all these people. Batman is cool. Daredevil is cool. Punisher is cool. The Power Rangers are not cool. They never were cool.
Tell that to
So
6-year-old
as we
me.
discussed earlier, Power Rangers aren't Vigilantes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not cool.
So we already know what Sean's name would be. He'd be the Radford Rampager. So if he was a vigilante.
What would your vigilante name be? I think Matt would come up with something intimidating like Matt.
Exclamation mark.
I've not thought about it.
MATT. Mass assaulter of terribleness.
That's a long vigilante name.
Yeah, well, it'd be like V for
Matt
Vendetta.
for short.
It
With
could be like
dots.
M for murder.
I'm put on the spot.
Mild
Put on the
murderous.
spot now. I can't think of anything. Where are we? Ilkeston,
Ilkeston.
Derbyshire.
The Derbyshire Destroyer.
TD. Daredevil.
Oh. I don't know. What about you, Lewis?
I don't know.
I don't either. I can't think on the spot like that.
The Marsh.
Oh.
Come on, it's there. It's in your
Oh,
name.
Actually, I suppose.
It's in your name. The Marshal.
Marshall.
One and only.
I'd
Yeah,
probably.
I wouldn't have a calling card, but I know that I'm doing the right thing.
You'd be anonymous.
Yeah.
Are you in anonymous?
The whole vigilante unseen.
So Dave would go around being a vigilante and he'd be doing it so sort of secretively. He wouldn't be like,
You wouldn't even know.
yeah, he wouldn't,
doing it right now.
he wouldn't have a costume and be all dressed up for people to go, oh my god, it's the Radford
The rampant.
whatever yours was.
The rampant.
Sean just goes round Radford in varying parts of Nottingham, dressed up, beating people in a gimp mask, beating people with rampant rabbits,
The Baseford Basher, you know.
Whoa.
dishing out his form of vigilantism. Oh my god, he's coming at me with anal beads.
Like they try and run away. And
Not like Spider-Man, I just produce them, you know.
oh god, from your wrists or.
Yes.
Hello, Nottingham Police Commissioner. There are a lot of people being handcuffed, but they're all in fluffy handcuffs. It's the rampant Radford man again.
As I was saying, though, it's that we were discussing earlier with Dexter. The police know that there is an open serial killer in their city who's killing other people. Oh, the police know we're the criminal, but can't prove. So it's that level of animosity that is Dexter's doing the right thing but going the wrong way about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that people openly know that there's a serial killer, but they can't prove that there's a serial. In no way am I going to be a serial killer. I'm just going to say that out there.
Just for the tape.
But it's having that level of I know that I've done the right thing. I don't want the glory and fanfare for it. I just want to know that I've made a difference and it's positive.
I don't know, I think I'd want the fanfare.
But would that make you an anti-hero then? Wanting it for the wrong reasons?
No, I'd do it for the right reasons, but I'd be like, well, God, get me a float in the parade. That'd be nice. I'd show up to the events, and sign the autographs and stuff. I'd enjoy that part, but I wouldn't do it just for that part. I wouldn't mind.
The trappings that come with it, of course.
Want some recognition?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
As a vigilante that everyone loves and adores, if Hasbro come out with an action figure of you.
Or pop.
Or pop vinyl,
Ruin
yeah.
half the plot.
Pop vinyl, they've got you as a pop.
Do you think if it was a real life thing, do you think that Spider-Man and all these other people like Punisher, they would send them a free one?
A
Or
free,
special edition
a free
with-
Spider-Man.
Yeah, we've given you the first printing of the Spider-Man pop bobblehead.
Now, where are they going to post it
Yeah,
to?
no, I thought that.
This would be the issue. With,
And Mr. S-Man.
Dave sort of hit on it there, is the type of vigilante you're going to be. If you want to be that one that remains anonymous, you'd have like an alter ego, Spider-Man, for example. Whereas Frank Castle, everyone knows he's the Punisher, so you've got to then make that decision. Oh, do I want to be known as that? Or so Pop would never be able to send you your pop vinyl
Because they could give it to
of
me
you
when
if
I'm
they
at
don't
the-
know who you are.
Because if I went to, if I was J-Man, and then
J-Man.
yeah, and then I go and show up at like the parade, they give it to me then.
Okay.
Along with the key to the city.
Yeah,
Here
the
he
key to the
is,
city.
your pop figure.
Yeah, on top. I'd be like, get the key to the city, and be like, pop vinyl.
Pop.
God, I'd love a pop vinyl of myself. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
Dave's
You can get
got a
them
3D printer.
Yeah.
He'll make you one.
3D printer.
Awesome.
How cool would it be though if there was a pop vinyl of you released? Like,
If we get to a point where we're well known enough, we can make our own merch,
yeah,
our own pop vinyls.
Radford Rampage. God, I don't want to-
J-Man and Matt.
Jimmy
And the Marshal. I mean, you make my vigilante sound a bit like a gunslinger.
Exactly. Well, and the guys we've mentioned before, they would never do such a thing. Apart from
Well, no, yours is going around with a rampant rabbit beating people.
Like, you said the rampant
No,
rabbit. I
nunchucking
said
people
nothing
with
of
anal
the-
beads.
I said nothing of the sort.
I've seen what's in your bedroom. I know what you've got.
Cut that out. We'll definitely cut.
What would his
That's a
vehicle
different
be?
kind of show.
How would he get around the city?
How would you get around what? The Radford Rampage?
Rampage.
Rampant Radford Rampager.
Uh,
It'd be on one of those electric bikes, wouldn't it? Surely.
Or
The City.
it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
yes.
You know, he's got the bike with the dildo that.
This is why this video is not made for kids.
just driving around Radford on an e-scooter, just beating people up.
Beating people up.
Oh God. Oh dear.
Oh, I'm doing a crime. I hope no one beats me up.
Does anyone have any final thoughts?
I've got way more questions than answers now.
That's a separate episode.
The final thoughts is Midland Earth does not condone any form of vigilantism.
Yes. Or
Especially ones that beat people off.
Yeah, no good to me, like,
yeah, do that yourself in the comfort of your own home and privacy.
Unless you want to get paid for it, in which case put it on OnlyFans.
Exactly. I think we've established what a vigilante is.
Have we?
I think we've established.
it got a bit sketchy at the end.
I think your vigilante is being crossed over with some kind of sex pest.
That's right. It's operating outside the law. Oh God, no. We condone no form of sexual impropriety on this show.
Or vigilantism.
Or vigilanteism. Or Banksy. Still illegal.
Whoever they are.
Whoever they are. Neil, we're on to you.
I hope you've enjoyed the rambling of a bunch of mad people. If you'd like to leave your comments and
Like, subscribe and share.
yep, hopefully there's lots of comments because we'd like to discuss what you think of vigilantes, if you agree with us, and if you also want to
Please
go
don't report us.
round Bradford beating people off. Let us know.
Also, if you think we've missed anyone, please
Yeah, no,
please get that in the comments
drop
below.
in the comments your favourite vigilante and why. And maybe at some point we'll do a follow-up episode, maybe. As for the next episode of The Fellowship, we're hoping to get one put together and ready for May 4th, for obvious reasons. So it probably will be a Star Wars special. Because Revenge of the Sith is enjoying its 20th anniversary in April. So we'll probably get together, do a watch of that, and then have some discussions and get it out for May 4th. or fifth, depending on your point of view of the dark side.
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope you can join us then.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll all see you soon.